So there's like estimated 1.3 million zainichi Koreans in Japan, which actually comprises almost 1% of the total Japanese population.
So you're required by law to discriminate. And we know through our community's experiences, there's hate crimes we experience all the time. You know, so it's this lack of data and also not having the legal concept or the instrument to enforce protection on a very basic level for minorities.
The whole experience is totally different than what we know in the United States about discrimination. You know, it's so you can't, it's like you have to learn about it because there's no equal. And like what was you mentioned in the movie too about getting a Fulbright scholarship, that yeah, you slip through the hole because we don't think that way. It's either you're of this country or that country, but your experience is totally contrary to everything how our minds think of how it's supposed to be. So, I mean, it just kind of, you know, it blows me away when I hear about, you know, deeper and deeper about what you have experienced as a zainichi.
You know, our generations are so divided in the way that our lives are structured, and especially in the United States, I think, in modern day. And then the other thing is that, you know, when we say zainichi, it's actually a very diverse community. And so none of us can really represent each other. You know, some of us went to Korean school, some of us don't speak Korean at all, and you know, some of us used Japanese alias and kind of hid our identity, and some of us didn't, and you know, like, and so it was really important opportunity to listen to each other, and not like we've never done that before, but not once did we really kind of belong to a grassroots, you know, community organization that was like really safe and kind of like was grounded in our voices, where we represent our own voices and we become agents of change as grassroots citizens. And we reaffirm not only the pain, but the hope, right? That we actually wanted to be the last generation to have to, you know, talk about just, you know, how screwed up it was and how, you know, how much I regret having been born as zainichi. So what is it that we can do? Because there has to be a grassroots component to any social change that happens.
San Francisco State, San Quentin State Prison, and Japan Pacific Resource Network, and UC Berkeley, as well as Asian American Studies Conference. So it's not like a scholar professional conference.
An organization called Noruto in New York has been doing this for, I think, maybe this is the 7th year in 2008. We went as part of the delegation of 11 people, and we were the 2 zainichi Koreans. It was the first time they had zainichi Koreans as part of this delegation. And it was traditionally all Korean American. And actually it was the first time they had 2 Korean Canadians as well. So it just reflected the very diasporic and diverse community of Koreans abroad. Anyway, so we went to North Korea on a mission just to really understand and learn what we might see there, not from what we see from the media or what we hear from our families that might have maybe a more biased perspective. So just to summarize very briefly, it was more of an educational program. We met with students, you know, ex-generals, doctors, and we try to learn a lot about the community and society there. And we also did a lot of report backs. And the most important thing we learned was that to really end the Korean War, to get a peace treaty signed, and to work towards reunification.
The program at the JPRN, Japanese Pacific Research Network, then I had the opportunity to meet them and share the experience, and they came here and learn cultures, and they said, wow, it's so diverse in US, and people, colors, and minorities. Then said, what about Japanese issues? Japanese minorities, colored people in Japan. They never think about in Japan. When they're in Japan, I come here and see the minority and majority. What is the majority and minority? In Japan, they never think about their majority, and there are some minorities in Japan, and it was a good opportunity for them to think about the what is minority in Japan, and I could like exchange my experience in minority, and then ask a lot of questions to me. Then I could share, and they show a lot of interest, and they said, "Oh, I didn't know about the issues," and it was good for me to like. I never like talk about being zainichi or the issues with other Japanese friends because I'm afraid to their reaction. So it was my challenge. Also, it was a good opportunity for me to talk about my experience and expose my issues to the people who are same generation, like same age. Because I could learn also, and I never had opportunity like this, so I want to keep like this communication in the future too, and yeah.
Thank you.
And one is like, thank you, consciousness building, cultural building. So more that's our educational programs, the film series, lectures and presentations, and talking to either youth from Japan or people over here to kind of exchange our stories, because and many of us kind of have sociology and Asian American studies or ethnic studies backgrounds, and so it's very interesting to compare the experiences of different people in both Japan and the US, and there's a lot of commonalities and differences. As far as community, we want to, like I think Miho said earlier in the really wonderful conversation that happened earlier amongst the Zainichi members here, is that we want to build a space, a community area where Zainichi people in the U.S. can feel like they have other people they can relate to and talk about issues that they might be personally facing. And then in terms of advocacy, we want to continue in the line of, we want to kind of continue pushing towards maybe like policy changes in Japan, or what else did we say? Eliminating discrimination, and that's really our broader goal, but taking little steps that's involving the legal process to ensure that. And also because there's, when Kyung-hee introduced that, you know, it's kind of an estimate that there's about 1.3 million Zainichi Koreans. We need to know that data. Here we have the census, and even the census isn't perfect because we kind of get lost in that. But it's like we need something like that in Japan as well, and we need to know exactly how many people are migrating out of Japan who are Zainichi. We need to know how many people are there, who needs health issues, social services issues. We don't know any of that, so we want to become involved in pushing that forward.
Yeah, I was thinking about how in more grassroots, I think the internet is fabulous, but like grassroots community organizations like this group, Little Tokyo Service, you know, if there's a way that these organizations can, you know, if they know about your group, they could, like Bill, for example, he didn't know about Eclipse Rising, I don't think, but he could be referring persons to say, oh yeah, check this out. So it's educating the community, in the Korean community and the Japanese community.
Right.
A place like this, you know, where this kind of conversation can happen. And actually, that is a right. You know, hearing Panja-san, you know, just talk about like her level, you know, more generation experience, and hearing, you know, about you and you. I mean, that was like really reaffirming. I think that's building off of what Kyung-hee said. You know, many of us don't know each other because we don't have a way of finding each other. You know?